Hello and welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to be running you through the process of how to apply to change and or add signatories to your club bank accounts. Now, understandably, your club bank accounts are really important simply because they allow CSE to transfer funds into your accounts for your programs and activities. They obviously also help you guys receive revenue from events and activities you'll put on. And finally, they also allow you to procure and purchase items from different suppliers, etc. Now, before we begin, I just also need to emphasise the legal ramifications of the whole process, simply because Unicenter, the bank, and yourselves are routinely audited around your spending, whether it's from your members or from the federal government in our situation. Now, with that comes a whole lot of responsibility that we need to be mindful of, and obviously the fact that there can be punitive damages if we fail to comply with the legal requirements. So I'm going to be very mindful of that and mentioning it quite heavily throughout this video. So the next thing we're going to do then is just go straight to our clubs and societies homepage, which is just here. You're all familiar with it. The next thing we're going to do is just jump straight onto this resource tab. Now, the thing we're going to need to click on here is the how to change your club signatory. Now, the first thing I talk about here is why you'll often need to change a club signatory or add one to the account. Often you'll need to add if you've changed the executive completely, so you've got a new executive often at the end of a year or at the start of a year. And then on top of that, you can have situations where you might have just changed one particular member of the executive, or you could even be bringing someone in on board. So just to emphasise as well, we can only have a maximum of 3 executives listed on a club bank account, simply because if we have more, it becomes too complicated to manage. And after that point, we then talk about what's required in terms of proving your identity to change and become added to these accounts. So the first thing we need to talk about then is from that link here, is the fact that it takes you to this page. So on this page, the 100-point check. In New South Wales, you need to be mindful that different documents of identity have different point values. So for instance, the birth certificate here is worth 70 points. So if I need 100 points to prove my identity, I can use a birth certificate and potentially a driver's license as well. So that would obviously mean I would have 70 plus 40, which is 110, which allows me to then prove my identity. So that's essentially all that's talking about. So you'll need these documents for when you meet with the bank representatives. So then once we've got that under control, the next thing we need to do is look at the template we have for changing your signatories. So once you've got that document, you just send it to this email here. But I'll just show you the document in question, and that's it here. Now, the bits in red are what you're going to change, except for the leave blank section, obviously. So we begin with the formal club name. And then, as I stated, leave that blank. Now, the next thing is obviously the executive title. So, as mentioned, this could be the treasurer, it could be the president, it could be the vice president, it could be anyone within the executive. You just obviously need to control that. And then under that, we need name, phone number, email address, and date of birth. Now, before when I was talking about the legal sort of side of things, the name is particularly important that it's in the correct order. A lot of the time, club executives will know each other by first name and surname, but they might not know the full details of their middle names and hyphenated sort of names. And this is really important that when you present this letter to us, we then present it to the bank. When you go to meet the bank, they'll use this letter as a term of reference. So if the details on this letter do not match the documents you're going to provide them to prove your identity, they will not accept you and they won't meet with you, simply because from their perspective, they don't have proof of your ID. So then, obviously make sure the name is correct. The phone number, email address. With the email, please just use your UOW email. It just makes everyone's life so much easier. And then obviously your address and date of birth. Now you've got there as well an option to repeat as well, because like I said, you can add more than one at a time. Just understand that the maximum is 3. And then once you've finished off this letter in those sections there, you'll then submit it to us, which we then sign and send off to the bank on your behalf. When we do send it off to the bank, and before we send it off to the bank, and you send it to us, you also need to include a time for when you want to meet with the bank. So the bank will only meet with club representatives on Thursdays and Fridays from the times between 9:30 to 11:30 and 1:30 to 3:30. Again, that was Thursday and Friday from 9:30 to 11:30 and 1:30 to 3:30. And that's when they'll meet with you. So Within that process, you'll then meet with them, you'll sign the documents that they provide, and then you'll head from there. So after that stage, once you've met with the bank, you'll then be issued with a debit card and a checkbook. Excuse me. It's really important as well regarding the debit card and the PIN number associated with it that the person that's issued with it does not share that information with anyone. For example, you cannot provide that card to another member of your executive under any circumstances to make a purchase on your behalf. That is just simply not allowed. And obviously there are legal ramifications around that as well. Simply put, if the governance that underpins that just cannot occur, and I'm sorry to stress this point, we just need to really emphasise it throughout this video. Okay, so from there, it's pretty much happy days. You've got your account and you can make your purchases, but yeah, just remember that fact that you cannot share the bank card or the PIN details with anyone else. Okay, so thank you very much. If you do have any other questions, please feel free to email the email shown on the page there, or even the other one that I'll probably put underneath, just the CSE one as well. Okay, so thank you very much, and we'll catch you next time.